You are listening to Transreal News, the finest news, forecasts, and advisories for psychonauts traveling the astral plane and beyond. I'm your host, Toby Damned. And now, the news in brief. Armed conflict has broken out between the corporate research teams in Ularu, Australia, over the right to study the eldritch entities stirring beneath the town. As usual, Vogonis' team is heavily armed and included trained combat veterans, while Retrograde Dynamics has hired Barbarians. None of our experts have been able to predict the outcome to the conflict. Our own Yoran has recovered from a fatal stabbing earlier this week, thanks to the generosity of our listeners and a generous sponsorship from Tul Ofala. A rash of thefts has swept the higher dimensions. Wealthy higher beings are reporting the theft of their heads from display cases in bedrooms and parlors across the upper planes. All of the victims had posted about their head removal surgeries and their trendy use of removed heads as decorations on social media. The authorities warn recipients of head removal surgery to keep their old heads in vaults or safe deposit boxes, or to have them incinerated, as a lost head may represent a personal security risk. A schism in the Time Barbarian horde has led for a moot to be called in Salisbury, England for last year. Visitors to the region unprepared for temporal confusion may experience disorienting double memories until natural suppression mechanisms kick in. We look forward to remembering the results of this historic meeting. And now, your time-space forecast with Walter Haversquirrel.
Thank you as always, Toby. This weekend, we will be seeing a lot of last week repeated, including, I'm sad to say, a great deal of last Monday, especially that meeting you had that will bore you to tears over and over again. I suggest you get a psychic umbrella to help keep yourself dry and sane. Expect a great deal of the 1980s and early 90s going into the week. It will make for long, dull commutes, but great music on the radio. Thank you, Toby. Back to you.
And now, a commercial message from our partners.
As a loved one recently passed on, are you facing an untimely demise? Are you simply frightened of the inevitable? You needn't be. At Tulafala, we specialize in returning the dead to life for very reasonable prices. Light an effigy of... by the light of the full moon, and be contacted within 24 hours by one of our sales creatures. From there, we can set you up with a plan to let you cheat death or return a loved one from the great unknown, with only mild memory loss and a few short-term side effects. Just hear this shining endorsement from one of our most recent customers. When a mad barbarian stabbed me for asking questions, I didn't just think I was done for, I really was done for. But thanks to Tulafala, I'm back in the land of the living, and should be ready to get back to my old life in just a few days. Best necromancers in the world. Thanks, Tulafala. Tulafala, you have nothing left to lose.
Recently, strange insectoid life forms have been hatching from the surface of the Televistic Slime. Their origins are unknown, their intentions are unclear. They were originally assumed to be non-intelligent, but recently psychic researchers have managed to uncover a code within their buzzing, and they have managed to translate this message.
We know. We would like to buy you a drink.
And now Klie Maxwell with the latest advisories for psychonautic travelers. Happy to oblige you, Toby. Hello, my friends. It is I, Klie Maxwell, your spirit guide, here to give you the ins, the outs, the who's, and the whats of traveling across the astral plane. I'm going to give you a very important warning, darlings. If I were you, however sexy they might be, I would not accept drinks from insectoid people hatched from the surface of Televistic Slime. They might mean you no harm, but I wouldn't bet on it. And if you are going to take a drink, make sure you have 3 or 4 girlfriends around to keep an eye on you, In the meantime, if you're crossing Gehenna, be sure to ditch your contraband. Right now, the authorities have stepped up patrols to capture a cabal of unlicensed flagellators. One last thing. Things have not quite settled out in Atlanta, Georgia, my darlings, and as much as I would love to recommend spending some time in the Atlanta GA, them peaches are getting mighty weird. Back to you, Toby. You have been listening to the Transreal News, part of the Transreality News Network, your finest source for advice for psychonauts, astral projectors, ethereal jaunters, and people on serious LSD trips. From all of us to all of you, safe journeys. The Transreal News was created, written, performed, and directed by Brian C. Rideout, and produced by Stormhead Productions. It is copyright 2024 by Brian C. Rideout, and is released under a Creative Commons by Attribution, non-commercial license. For show notes and more information, visit us at trans-real.stormheadproductions.ca. Thank you so much for listening.